Welcome to another episode of a Wilde Time Podcast, MMA edition. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I hope you've caught the last episodes. We've had Fred Edish, we've had Guy Mesger, we've had Brad Kohler, and we've had Jeremy Horn. Now tonight's guest is a little different. She's actually someone who has kind of trailblazed. She's been there from the start of ladies MMA. She was a Bodog champ. She fought in almost every company out there. She has been around, ladies and gentlemen, fighting in the bantamweight division. She has seen and done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara LaRosa. Tara, how's it going, sis?
Hey, how you doing?
Man, well, listen, like I was talking to you a little bit ago, I've had requests for you, and I said I have to reach out. I have to get a hold of Tara. And listen, you're a gypsy. You're you're almost a jiu-jitsu gypsy from everything I've read. I mean, you have trained and from everything I read, you've went from city to city, picking up training camps. I mean, different, and that, my friend, in my opinion, is the true warrior spirit of a mixed martial artist. Not staying in one place, but traveling and getting different types, sharpening your tools in different places. And what was it like? What was it like? Just you grew up in New Jersey, and I'm excited to figure out and listen to how you got involved with martial arts. The love started. I mean, when did the love start for it?
So I've never told the story before because it's so abstract. Like my involvement in martial arts is I try to make it clear cut and dry so it's easy for people to regurgitate or whatever. So I always tell people there are several different stories. My earliest one is I got in trouble in high school and I'd always wanted to do martial arts or karate. My cousin had a Shotokan dojo. I got kicked out of all school sports, so my mom was like, go over to Uncle Steven's and, go do karate, whatever. So, okay, cool. So that's where it started my senior year in high school. But actually, it kind of started a little bit before that. I mean, I grew up watching, Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme and, all of these, awesome martial artists and, I was so enthralled with the good guy always prevailing and protecting people and sticking up for people and stuff like that. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. I was bullied through grade school a lot. And in 7th grade, actually, during a summer camp, I had taken karate as one of my little things. You can pick your little curriculum for summer camp, what little classes you want to take and everything. And that was one of them. And I took it for, I forget how many weeks it was, 2 or 3 or whatever it was. And I took it every day and I loved it. It was so good. I worked so hard and I tried to do my very best and everything. And then at the end, they had everybody out on the mats, at the very last day to do this demonstration and stuff. And that's I'm in 7th grade. 7th grade is my worst year. It was the worst year of my life. It was terrible.
Bless your heart.
It's horrible. And so I was this little chunker. I was kind of chubby, just a little chunky kid. I got made fun of a lot. And so we did our little demonstration thing and everything. And they're giving out all these participation trophies and everything. And they have this big table of them. They give them almost to everybody. And so they're calling each kid up one at a time. And well, I guess I must be at the end or something if I want to get one, whatever. So they ran out of trophies. There weren't anything. I was damn, I really I'm sitting there and my mom and my aunt, who's now deceased, my aunt's deceased, my mom's still alive, are sitting in the bleachers and everything. And they're watch me. And I'm sitting there and I'm feeling all ashamed and I'm feeling sad and stuff. Damn, I gave it my best. I gave it my all. And I didn't even get anything. I didn't do anything. It sucks. And so they start launching into this big thing about this person who's just exemplary and showed fighting spirit and warrior attitude and all this and that and everything else. So I'm like kind of sitting there, I'm like kind of dejected and feeling bad, and sort of I'm trying not to like roll my eyes or anything because I'm in public, whatever.
Right.
You don't do that. It's not right. And then like at the end of this big long, they said all this wonderful glowing stuff about this person who was so exemplary and all this shit. It was me. I was like, it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe it. So that was like that's sort of like the first big sort of like an achievement kind of thing. Like I had been part of team sports my whole life. Oh, since like I don't know, second grade or something. I've always played team sports. So that was like sort of like the first kind of individual type thing that I ever did. And I really, really poured my heart into it. I was just a kid. I was like 12 or 13, however old you were. I don't know. And so like that was huge. That was huge to me. That was such a big deal. And I just always wanted to do karate or martial arts and stuff. But I was always playing sports and I never got to, and everything in high school. Field hockey was my big deal. I went on to get a college scholarship to play. But then I did finally, the whole thing happened where I got kicked out of school sports because of all this and that and the others and bullshit. And I actually got into karate, and I was actually a purple belt in Shotokan karate. And then I went to college and got into judo, and I have some wild stories. Like, yeah, I watched
Wild stories for a wild podcast. Hey, listen, we can roll with it.
I watched way too many of these stories in the 80s and stuff about like underground fights and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Bloodsport, kickboxer. Hey, listen, yeah. I'm the same.
Yeah, and so like I've had prior to my involvement with MMA, like actual like sanctioned fights and tough woman. I did tough shit too.
Yeah.
Like, but I actually had several
action movie like fights.
I had several unsanctioned fights that were set up over the internet that like you showed up and winner take all like kind of money. It was fucking stupid. God, my balls are a lot bigger than my brains. Like,
well, I mean, back like you said, you watched those movies; those were inspirational. When we're kids and we watched,
I loved them. I was like, and I would think to myself, I was like, well, they had to get the idea from it somewhere. It had to happen somewhere. So,
well, let me ask you something. Did they park the cars in a circle and put the headlights on?
That is Lionheart is my favorite.
Yes. You didn't have to fight Attila.
Either fight in like a ring of cars or
a swimming pool halfway filled up.
That's my favorite movie. Oh my God.
Oh gosh, Attila was a great villain. Love the cat, the Persian cat he comes out with. Van Damme always fought the coolest villains if you think about it. I wonder if he had in his closet, I need a cool villain to fight at the end of this. Give me a Tong Po or something,
So cool.
Hillbilly doing Van Damme, yeah. That's cool. I mean, like I said, you were a young girl, action movies. Was you big into Cynthia Rothrock? I mean, she was.
I watched Cynthia Rothrock, but her acting was so horrific. I couldn't get past it. It was like, of course, it's 80s movies.
Yes.
Acting is terrible because martial artists they're real. They're martial artists.
Right.
They're not actors. So they're like these high-level martial artists that they maybe gave a couple instructions to for acting. But like I watched all of Cynthia Rothrock's movies. Like, oh God. But so I was always just like, I loved Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah.
He always just came in. He always had these crazy wild villains too. It's like
Screwface man.
Or like whatever that
Mark for Death is one of my favorite movies of all time when he takes out the Jamaican posse, Screwface.
Oh my God, I just watched it the other night.
Really? Wow. Man, I'm telling you, I can remember the trailer when I was a kid, when movie trailers had that guy with a voice like this. And it was, and that movie trailer is like the baddest trailer that you will ever watch. This time he's bringing out the big guns, and it shows him bringing that gun around. And it gives me chills. A Steven Seagal trailer, the things that gives me chills. But anyways, you say Shotokan karate. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but my favorite action star, Dolph Lundgren, I think was like a black belt in Shotokan karate.
That's cool.
And he competed. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I'm thinking that Lundgren was a Shotokan black belt. And I think, Shotokan, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't a lot of high contact karate?
God, I don't know. I never got into competing when I was in karate because I was just like, it's just my cousin's dojo.
Right, right.
It was in his garage. He had like a 2-car detached garage. They turned into a dojo. They like painted the floor with some like stripes and lines and shit, and like called it a day. It was great. But I wasn't competing or anything. I never really got into competition until judo in college. I started doing judo. I also did like tough woman tournaments.
You got that look on your face. Why? Hey, I fought my share of tough man contest. I dislocated my shoulder and pretty much ruined myself for nothing. But
me in North Carolina, they banned me because I won too many.
Well, listen, sometimes they'll do that to you.
So I compete in Virginia.
So judo, Tara, tell us a little bit about that. What got you into? Caro Parisian was one of my favorite fighters back in the day, and he had some of the sickest judo throws, man, at the time.
Manny Gamburian.
Yeah, Manny was tough too. Yeah, they had sick.
A hot second. Yep, and of course, Ronda Rousey.
Ronda, yeah, absolutely, man.
I love Ronda. I couldn't have been prouder of her career.
Yeah.
Especially representing judo and coming from judo, I was so proud of that. Like, because I'm the only other woman. Well, at the time, I'm the only other woman that came from judo.
And it's
like,
such a
judo. I didn't just also do some judo too.
No, you were an absolute animal in the judo game. And the thing I love so much about judo is its leverage. I mean, if you're a really good judo practitioner, man, you think somebody in it, when I'm going back to like 2005, 2006, when you watch guys who rarely done it, I mean, out of nowhere, like Manny, yourself, or Caro, I mean, the way they would turn and someone would just fly awkwardly, and it was their offense, and it was something beautiful to watch. And everybody's like, what did he just do? It's a judo throw.
You just feel it. It's there. Well, I mean, after you've been doing it for so long, it's like it just happens. Like, it just does it. Like, when it's not there.
Right.
When it is there, like you just feel it. It's like just this common. Like, judo and grappling is natural for me, but stand up is not. Stand up has never been natural to me. I can't. I mean, God, I'm probably not fighting. I cannot read someone standing. I've never been able to. Like kickboxing and so I can't read when they're going to set up to throw something or what they're setting up for. I just, maybe some of my fights maybe looked good. Yeah. But I was just throwing shit to throw it. I was like, this looks good. I'm going to do this. This feels right. I'm going to keep throwing this until I hit them. Like, there's no rhyme or reason in my stand-up. I find a combination that I like and I throw it.
Well, that's heart, man. That's guts and heart right there. And you come from a grappling background, and like I said, I've let everybody know you were one of the first ladies to branch out and become the MMA. You were right there, 2000. Was it 2003? I mean, there was a point where you won your first 2001. Man, that was a good time too to be a MMA fan. Because a lot of people wasn't. I mean, you really had to be a fan to follow it at that time, and I was. Yeah. I was on Sherdog every day in my computer class, seeing what was going on, seeing Don Fry, Ken Shamrock, Simi Shield. I mean, I could just start rattling off names at that time, my junior year. But it's you went 3-0. You had your loss, and then you rattle off. Was it 15 straight wins?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a heck of an accomplishment, Tara. I mean, 15 wins. I mean, that's You were the top. You were the top bantamweight in the world for a couple years. I mean, from everything, and that's right. And what's a shame?
Bantamweight and featherweight. I was the first female to be ranked number 1 in 2 different weight classes.
Man, and you know what? It's like the thing that really stinks about it is because women's MMA. It was just a few years later when it exploded. So you kind of, but you know what? When you're right. You're a trailblazer. You're a pioneer, and without you and a few more beautiful ladies, I mean, Rhonda and the rest of those girls, I mean, they wouldn't have had a platform.
I helped get it there.
You did.
At that point, I raised the bar by being number 1, and everybody else had to rise above that, and they did. And they just got better and better and better, and the striking was crisp, and the combinations flowed, and the grappling got more intricate, and the takedowns and everything. It just came together so well. The bar raised, and after me was Rhonda.
It was right. Yep.
Dominant, and she raised the bar. And Chris Cyborg was dominant and awesome and powerful, and she raised the bar. And people just keep raising the bar and going over it. Amanda Nunes, Joanna Zerdachik, these women just push to the next level, and they set it higher and higher and higher. And everybody has to either rise to that level or get the hell out.
That's it, sink or swim. And you take somebody like Thug Rose. She's got a heart. I mean, I
forgot about Rose.
I love her too. She's like. She's probably my favorite ladies fighter, man, because she's almost, you look at her coming in and you're like, man, she's going to get it. I feel bad. And she goes out there and she shocks the world every time she steps in. I like the aspect of her and Pat Barry together. I don't know if I'm a hopeless romantic or what, but I kind of like that little, he's in her corner all the time, and it's usually the opposite way. The woman's got her husband's back, but I always like that. But Bodog. Let's talk a little bit about Bodog. Bodog was a big deal at one point. I mean, it was like Bodog. You had, when the UFC was at the main top, you had Pride. Bodog was before Strikeforce and stuff. It was that other promotion that was kind of gaining traction. You didn't know how it was going to go because it was kind of a confusing. I mean, it was like betting on things. I think at the time it was
I can tell you what Bodog fight was. So Bodog was a gaming and gambling site. It was for gaming, whatever, poker and all that and whatever. Okay, cool. So Bodog fights and also Bodog Battle of the Bands, which nobody has heard of, which is okay, were both meant to be commercials and sort of advertisement for Bodog Gaming. That's what it was. That's what they were. They weren't like their own entity. Oh yeah, we want to make a fight show. We're going to call it Bodog Fights. No, Bodog Fights was just to supplement Bodog Gaming.
Wow.
So it was kind of like, and that's also it was like a write-off for commercial, for advertising. They dropped more money than I've ever seen in my fucking life. It was amazing. I mean, I think it was like 1.5 or 2 years, they went through something like $38 million. It was insane. It was insane. Like there was 6 of us that fought out on the beach.
Yes, that's what I was going to. Did you ever compete in one of the beach fights?
Yeah.
Really? I did. Tell us a little bit about that, because fighting outside in like a tropical area. I mean, how was the humidity? I mean, you had to be sweaty like crazy.
Absolutely, dude. So they rented out an entire resort, this beautiful beachside resort on the Pacific Ocean. Huge resort. And every single day there was this big tent and as much food and everything you could possibly imagine to eat. I mean, there was I love fruit. I love fresh fruit and stuff, vegetables, whatever. There was so much fresh fruit that there's stuff there that I'd never even heard of before. And they would make you, if you were dieting down, you were cutting weight, they would make you with no sodium, or they would make you with no sauce, or they make special. I mean, it was ridiculous. The amount of money that they dropped on this place, and each fighter had their own room, and they brought down not only the fighter but the coaches and sometimes the families. Like Eddie Alvarez's whole family was there.
Wow!
Like amazing. It was amazing. Coaches and teammates, and just in this big gigantic resort. It was nuts. And they had another big tent set up with mats for us to train on all throughout the day. They had a ring set up, like a practice ring set up. Then they had this big setup with this like stage and lighting grid and this whole big thing out on the beach, right next to the ocean.
Man.
Right next to the ocean. It was wonderful. You could feel the breeze. You could listen to the waves as you're fighting in the ring. Like
Sounds like a vacation more than a fight.
We were down there for 2 weeks. It was crazy. We had our own camera crews. There were people, like we had handlers. Like each handler had like 6 or 8 people, and we went out to all these locations and shot film and B-roll and made commercials and did advertisements and all kinds of wild shit. It was crazy.
It's a shame Bodog still isn't around, because that idea is, I mean, that's pretty cool.
And the matchmaker for Bodog was Miguel Iturrate, who I maintain is still the greatest matchmaker in the entire sport ever to date. The matchups that he made were brilliant. Like, there's just the way that, I don't know how his mind even worked, but the matchups that he made were so good. It wasn't just like, oh, style against style. Oh, this guy and this guy are the same size, and they've been fighting the same. They have a very similar. No. Like, he just put some of the most interesting matchups together, and especially for the women. He gave me, like, so I don't know if he, liked watching me get my ass beat or what the deal was with him. But, sorry, I had to.
Oh, you're fine.
Growling behind me. I don't know what she's doing. But, he would give me the best women in the world. Like, he would fly people in from Japan. He would fly people in from all over the place for me to fight and whatever. Like, he threw the best women at me, and he would tell me, like, I don't know if this is part of motivation or pep talk, what he was trying to do. He was like, hey, Tara, I think this is the one that's going to get you.
So he was basically making you a better fighter over there.
He made me. Like, not, I mean, aside from like my teammates, my coaches and shit, he made me what I was. He threw every best woman fighter in the world at me, and I won. I rose to the occasion. I didn't tell you, I got my ass beat for almost every first round of every fight. Like, these chicks were really good. Like, I'm not kidding. It was hard. It was hard. There was a couple of them I really had to come from behind, especially Amanda Buckner. Oh my God, she was beating my ass. But it was, and Shayna was winning. Shayna Baszler, she had a choke on. She had a choke full on. I don't know how the hell I even got out of it.
So would you say would you consider him an important part of your career?
Yeah, he's not just an important part of my career, but he was an important part of the development in mixed martial arts history, and how the sport played out and those who rose to the top. He was just, and when it came to matchmaking and just intricacies like that, he's brilliant mind.
Oh, man, that's a hell of a story right there. A lot of people that don't remember Bodog fights, excuse me. Hopefully they'll check this out and go back, because I'm telling you, like you said, you love Lionheart. Watching those fights on the beach kind of give that feel to it.
It was nuts. There's one rode up on horses. Him and his team were in on horses. Like, they pulled out all the stops. Like, whatever you wanted to do.
Had a little bit of a professional wrestling feel to it, it sounds like.
Kind of, a little bit. Kind of. Cool.
That was like Jeremy Horn. I think he was talking to me about hook and shoot, and he was talking about how it was kind of pro wrestling oriented.
Greatest.
Did you like?
I fought on hook and shoot 5 times.
That's what I was going to ask you. What did you think about that? Was that, like Jeremy said, he loved it?
That was my beginnings. Jeremy Horn is like one of my like idols. Like these early guys, were the guys that I looked up to. I mean, there weren't any women, and I didn't really look up to women anyway. I modeled myself after men.
Right.
You know, and I mean, of course, like, oh my God. And that whole camp, Militich's whole camp, I was just in awe of all these guys, and Jens Pulver and Jeremy Horn and
Hughes.
Oh my God, all of them. They were great. Matt Hughes.
At one time, I mean, they pretty much ruled the male landscape of mixed martial arts for the longest time. Tim Sylvia had the heavyweight. Matt Hughes was welterweight. Pulver was down at lightweight. So, I mean, Jeremy Horn, I mean, he fought every weight class. He was fighting either Randy Couture at heavyweight, Liddell light heavyweight. He would fight anybody for peanuts. I said.
Well, hook and shoot is where I got. That's where I got my beginnings. A lot of the greatest fighters, ones that you see in the Hall of Fame, or people talk about, like, oh yeah, I remember him, got their start in hook and shoot. That's Jeff Osborne's show. He really, if anybody's got to get credit for kicking off women's MMA, it would be Jeff, because Jeff put on some of the best. Miguel was the matchmaker for hook and shoot. Like, Jeff was the promoter, Miguel was the matchmaker. Jeff also did some of the matchmaking too, but I mean, they put on just some of the greatest fights. Two of my absolute favorites, my absolute idols, that I looked up to in the sport, Yves Edwards and
Yves was tough.
Aaron Riley and Yves Edwards. Those are two. You got to have one.
Oh, I'd love to get him. Yves Edwards, man, he was, he fought in the dark ages too. It wasn't just like he fought. He was like kind of in the middle, right when it was like they were trying to get UFC shut down. I mean, he was fighting in there.
Yeah, he has some amazing stories, and he's funny as hell. Oh my, he's awesome. And Aaron Riley started fighting when he was 16. Like, he's just, oh my God, he was one of the people that I looked up to. Him and Yves and Jens Pulver, and there's a guy in hook and shoot, Scott Hensey, and I loved watching him. And then there's just the little guys, because I'm not huge. I'm not a big dude. I'm not a big person.
Right.
I'm little. So I watch the little guys. I'm like, that's how I move. That's what I can. I can do this. So that's why those were my favorite people. So
was you a fan of Takanori Gomi back in the day?
Oh my God, I love Gomi. Oh, I love Gomi. Who did love Gomi? Gomi was amazing.
Gomi was tough, man. I loved Gomi in Pride, and even when he came over to the UFC, I was still rooting for him. He was one of the top. That's my beagle. He's a very protective dog, but his name is Champ. Oh, really?
Nuts.
Yeah, this dog, man, if hits as you can hear, he spotted a headlight outside. Champ, lay it low. Anyways, I was watching some interviews back and forth, and you had a little bit of a, not a really conflict, but a difference in opinion with Misha Tate at one time, didn't you?
Yeah, we don't get along.
Well, like we were talking about a moment ago, those guys you looked up to. Now you have those ladies look up. You and a couple more women's fighters. You've got those girls looking up to you in the same aspect that you looked up to them. So that's got to be
anymore. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like those are I'd say you look at it like those are your little sisters, and they're doing really well right now out there.
It is. It's cool. I feel like it kills me every time somebody from my generation or just after my generation retires. Oh God, it breaks me to pieces. Like, these are all my friends. These are all people I came up with that, I know. Like, I know and love. And it's just like everybody's disappearing now. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Kat Zagano, I think she just turned 40. It breaks my heart. Because I always saw her as being so young. I was like, oh my God, shit.
The beauty of nowadays, though, is it's not aging. The aging process isn't what it was 10 years ago. I mean, nowadays,
Smart.
taking so much. I mean, your body is if you take care of your body, and Lord willing, you don't have any terminal illnesses or anything, and you take care of yourself, you continue to work out. I mean, I look at Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and I know the situation with them. But those guys are almost 80 years old and they're still getting in the gym and they're still working out, you know. I mean, it's crazy. And that's kind of like, I know it's wild to say. I mean, I'm obviously a 37-year-old dude from East Kentucky, but I plan on trying to work out, take care of myself, stay active as long as I can.
And you refine it, and you get better about it, and you learn new tricks, and you learn new things, and you start to eat differently, and you tweak that, and you just, as more information comes out, you process it, and you do better all the time. And you know what? People can talk all the shit they want on steroids and everything. Oh, well, that's why they look like that. Yeah? You can't sit on your couch and take steroids and look like that. You still in the damn time.
That's it. You have to work to look like that.
Matter of fact, you have to put in more work.
Yeah.
On steroids or supplements or whatever the hell you want to call it, but you're still putting in the work. So,
like you said, you can't just lay around and look like that. If you do, you'll be 600 pounds.
They probably look better than those of us that aren't on it, but they're still putting in the work. Yeah. So, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I can read what you're throwing there for sure.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I just think I think there are some instances where people should be put on them for health reasons.
Right. Helps recovery. If you've been injured, I mean, that's how you recover. Basically, I mean, it helps
for major injury recovery for sure. You know, there's a lot of us that are getting. We're old. We're getting old, and we're kind of banged up, pretty bad. I have my share of stuff too. If there's something out there that can heal this, whatever the hell's going on with me, God, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, you know, that's like we were talking about how different times are. Man, modern medicine is helping a lot of people, you know. I mean, there's so many things coming out now that wasn't around in the 90s, which 90s, you know, I say that like, I mean, it don't feel like it was 3 years ago to me, but just the last few years, I mean, things are coming out. I mean, that's helping somebody. I mean, you've got herbs and vitamins, man, and if you take them right, they're going to help you.
Yeah.
But you know, Tara, you were a high-level grappler with so many tournament wins. We talked about your judo. We talked about MMA, and I just, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you just receive your brown belt in jiu-jitsu from combative?
No. Okay. So I have 3 belts now. I have 3 things. I did just receive in June. I just now, after 23 years at brown belt in judo, I just got my black belt.
Woo! Congratulations, man.
So 23 years in the making. 27 years. Oh God. 26 or 27 years in total. So I got my black belt in that, in judo, finally. Man. And now I'm still a 4-stripe purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been a purple belt now for 17 years. Well, it is what it is. I have my reasons. I'm loyal to my lineage, and I will not accept rank from anyone else.
Right.
So now the brown belt that you're talking about is I just received a brown belt in combatives.
Yeah. From
Matt Larson and the Guild at Combatives University. And now, and there's 3 parts to that. There's 3 parts to their ranking system. It's the fighting aspect, which is sort of like is MMA and combatives type things and jiu-jitsu, all that shit rolled into one. And then there's shooting also. And so I'm working on that now. I've shot, I have a bit of shooting, but nothing at the level that warrants a black belt. So I'm at brown belt right now, and I'm working a lot on that. And I'm actually working toward, in the near future, starting to do some shooting competitions, 3-gun and such. So I'm working on that now.
Wow.
Very
man,
cool.
And you are a jack of all trades. I'm telling you, that's going to lead me to my next.
Well, there's one more part of that brown belt thing with the Combatives University. It's also tactical medicine. Um, I I have a couple more things I need to learn and really refine with that to add to my repertoire. But my degree is in physical education with a concentration on exercise physiology. I have I've been I'm CPR and all that shit certified for years and years. I've also taken several um, tactical medicine courses and different things, different aspects. Um, done a couple live simulations, and so I'm working on that aspect too, toward getting my black belt, which is all of those three things: the combatives, the shooting, and tactical medicine, all rolled into one. So that's that. And when I do seminars, when I teach seminars, my seminars are based in combatives
Yeah.
and self-preservation. I don't like using the term self-defense because I feel like it sort of puts you in this sort of mindset that you are the victim and that you have to be the victim to defend yourself. So I like to refer to it more as like, self-preservation.
Man,
You know,
competitive university. That sounds awesome. I mean, this is the first time I've
it's Matt Larson down at the schoolhouse in Benning. He's the one that's really founded a lot of this. It's just fantastic. I really, really love it. I can't promote it enough.
Yeah.
Really, you really want to be proficient in real world situations. Minus having been in the military or anything, as many of us didn't have that opportunity, or
Right.
we weren't going to the military. But that is what you need to look at. Look into Combatives University.
Combatives University. Absolutely. Shout out to them. This is really interesting. I loved hearing this, Tara, because that's like you said. I mean, if you haven't went to the military, there's going to be things in life that you need to be prepared for, and that sounds like it's going to take care of you.
There's so much crazy shit going on in the world now.
I know.
Something's going to pop off. And even if you're not involved in the situation, but you roll up on a situation with tactical medicine, knowing how to address, as a first responders type thing, and how to address a situation where there are critical injuries and stuff, and being able to maybe save somebody, while EMS or help is on the way, without going into like being a paramedic or an EMT or anything like that. You don't have to go through all that, but just knowing basic things. If you're in a car accident, your kids at the lake, at the beach, something happens in your home, that you never know when there's just some crazy shit going to happen. Be prepared, be ready. What's it take? Like a couple courses, teach your kids. That
Yes.
helps you learn.
Combatants University. That's so. I mean, that's genius. I don't know why that hadn't came up before now.
It is.
And you say Matt Larson is the one that's over it.
Man.
Well, that is. I'm glad I like seeing strong women take charge, and I think you set a great example for that by going not just martial arts, but doing that. That's awesome, man. And I was going to ask you, which I was going to say, have you ever thought about starting your own fight team or coaching or?
I have, yeah, I have. That's a huge responsibility to me. That's not something that I just go find a location, throw some mats in a room, and say, "Hey, Tara's gym, let's all train." Nah, that's not what it is to me. It's like opening up a gym and becoming a coach. I'm taking a lot of people's careers and lives into my hands, and I feel like I'm responsible for that, because you get people come in that want to train for so many different reasons, whether it be, because they want to defend themselves, because they want to start out in the sport, they want to get into fighting, they have low self-esteem, they want to lose weight, they like this in an abusive situation. Like there are so many reasons why people train, and you really, really, really have to cater heart and soul to each one and all of that. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I can. That's a lot.
That's a lot. You said it, man. That's a lot of. I mean, especially when you've got a good heart and you care about everybody. It's a lot to take on because, like you said, there's so many different reasons people join that it's a lot of responsibility.
A lot of responsibility, it really is, and I just don't know if I could handle that.
Well, I will tell you this, Tara. I think that you would be.
It doesn't work that way. No. So
I think you would make an excellent coach, though, and I think you got the experience that you would help the younger ladies or men. I mean, you could really, when it comes down to a situation, you know, like I said, you've combatives of university, judo. I mean, I would say you're prepared for just about any situation that arises.
I've done a lot of wild shit. Like, I've been in a lot of crazy situations. Like, Jesus.
Well, you know, coming up on the end of this, I don't like calling them interviews. I don't have interviews. I like having conversations with
chat.
Yeah, there you go. It's good chat. But at the end, I always do 5 random questions. We're not going to jump into that just right now. But
I'm still going. I haven't retired. Like, I'm not done.
Oh, I know. We ain't. Hey, listen. We ain't throwing in.
Won a title back in March. Like, I just won a combat jiu-jitsu title back in March.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you. Do you? I mean, what was the last competition that you had done? Because you're still active. I mean, you're still active in all the grapples.
I just did last year at the end of the year, what the hell year are we in? We're in 2022. In 21, Jesus, see, this is what happens when you get punched in the head for a while. In 2021, the end of the year, I did 2 SUGs. And the Chael Sonnen, one of my old homies from Bodog, that was his show, and I did both of those, and fantastic experiences. Competed in that; it was awesome. Then I came back here. I'm in North Carolina. I live and train in North Carolina. I competed in Carolina Combat League's show, and for a title, and I won. And so I have their 135-pound title for combat jiu-jitsu.
Man, what inspires you, man? I mean, because listen, you've got the.
So I don't know what else to do.
There you go.
I have no idea what am I going to do? Go work in a bank? Like, what am I going to do?
You listen. You will continue throwing people for a long time. I have a gut feeling.
6 years. That's my entire adult life. Like, I don't know anything else. I don't know any better. Matter of fact, I got some crazy shit coming up. Toro Cup 22. I'm competing for them. That's going to be awesome. That'll be on Flow Grappling. And then I turn around 2 days later, I hop on a plane down to Alabama, and I'm competing in season 4 for the PGF, Professional Grappling Federation, Brandon McCracken's show. And that's going to be wild as hell. And that's a week long. I have 4 matches every day. That's nuts.
How do you condition still? I mean, do you condition, is your training harder now than it used to be? Or
I just go and roll. That's it. That's it. I've never done a camp for grappling. I don't know how that works. The people, I imagine people that are serious now, like grappling, jiu-jitsu is serious. Did you just see ADCC? That was nuts.
Yes, that was wild.
People must have been training for that for months. I have never.
Huge crowd also on hand there to see that.
It was like 14,000.
God, man, that's beautiful though. That's awesome.
It's amazing. Where were them 14,000 when I competed in ADCC? I did it for 2 years. There was like maybe 150 people there.
That was, that's awesome to see though. So many more opportunities happening, and I'm just
hoping. Go ADCC. I'd do that again.
Yeah, you need to.
I'd do it. Shit, put me in, coach. I'm good.
Yeah, listen, I'd put all the Bodog money on you for sure.
That's a lot.
A lot of money.
That's 38 mil. That's a lot of money. I don't know if I fit that all on me. Maybe a little bit, but
What's one grappling match or one fight that you wish you could have back?
none of them.
No rematch?
No. Every loss, every win, every performance got me to where I am right now today, and I wouldn't change anything. I would not change anything in my history. Good, bad, or ugly, everything happens for a reason, even the fucked up shit. Even the bad stuff, even the hardest and worst times. If you're happy right now, where you are, you can't change any of that because that rough time led you to where you are right now.
Exactly. You've got to go through the rough patches to end up happy. I firmly believe that also.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like you said, you go through things and it develops your character, how you end up, what kind of person you are. I mean, everybody's got a story, man. Everybody's got a story. And I'm interested, that's me. I love hearing everybody's story.
I've been one of the highest paid fighters in the entire sport. And I've also lived in the storage room of a gym and had to pick up change after hours at the in a drive-through just to get food. Like I've been on both ends. I have been down and out and broke, and I have been up the top.
Well, you know what, man? And that's, like you said, you got an awesome story to tell. Everybody that I've had on this podcast, YouTube video, I don't know how, I've got like an audio podcast also, but this YouTube thing has took on a life of its own with the MMA. And I love like I said, the trailblazers and pioneers, because all of them have went through so much. I mean, they fought from the beginning. They've got great stories. You know, Fred, a mutual friend of ours, Fred went through some real heavy stuff after, I mean, and you go back and you watch his fight and it's really not that bad compared. I've seen way worse, but he took so much ridicule after that. And it's such a shame that mental health, people, it's starting to get more attention now, but you talk to Fred, and Fred went through some heavy stuff, man. And, went through all that, ended up at 53 years old, getting his MMA win, which to me is one of the best stories ever. I mean, I love that.
He's awesome.
He is.
That's a lifetime role model. That's what you look at and be like, this guy made it. Why can't I?
Yes.
This is how you turn your shit around.
Mm-hmm.
This is severe. This is how you suck it the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that need that lesson nowadays, because it doesn't seem like anybody sucks it the fuck up anymore. Everybody's like, oh, I'm so broken, and I'm so this, and I can't this, and oh, my emotions, and oh, I'm so sad. Oh, shut the fuck up. We all are. Get over it. Go train.
Pick yourself up. That's it.
Better day. Find out.
Can't feel sorry for yourself, that's for sure, because there ain't many people going to do it either.
Nope.
So let's go with Tara. Let's get to know some random questions for Tara LaRosa.
Oh God.
Favorite band?
Linkin Park.
Linkin Park, excellent choice, man. Excellent choice.
Yeah, Chester Bennington has got me through some really rough times.
Oh man, when I was a sophomore in high school, Crawling came out.
Yes.
That was, to me, man, that was an anthem my sophomore year. I loved that song. And
Nobody's Listening.
Yes, another one.
Nobody's Listening.
And Stone Temple Pilots is that's my favorite band of all time.
I love STP.
And Bennington did really well with them when he stepped in for Scott. And he's just a great musician. I mean, you can tell he'd been through some obviously he'd been through hard times, but he got a lot of us, like you said. He's had some anthems that helped some people out of some dark times.
Scott got a lot of us through a lot of shit.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Favorite horror movie?
Horror movie?
I figure since it's spooky season, listen, cancel it. Favorite action movie?
Oh God, I don't even know. I can do horror movie, Stigmata.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was
I,
a lot like The Exorcist.
church messes me up. I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Anything the church messes me up. It messes with me a lot.
Stigmata, excellent choice. I don't get that. That's not a slasher. It's more of a religious thriller, I guess you would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, that was rough. I saw that when I was in college, and I sat in the corner of the dorm room and rocked for like 2.5 hours. Fucked me up.
Who is your all-time favorite fighter?
Jens Pulver,
Little Evil, excellent choice.
the
Love
first
Jens.
155-pound champion.
Yes, defeated BJ Penn.
Yep, sure did.
Favorite walkout song?
American Pie.
We talked about that earlier today. Excellent choice. Excellent choice. Loved it.
Okay, so I have two: American Pie and Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe. When did you come out to Cotton Eye Joe?
I walked out to Cotton Eye Joe the second time I fought in Japan, and it was in the Tokyo Dome, and which is very, very historic, especially for pro wrestling. So
Yes.
they enjoy all the pageantry and the show and all this and that. So I came out to Cotton Eye Joe, and I had on
Overall.
overalls, a straw hat, shades, and Timberlands.
You are an entertainer.
I wanted to do something like USA, like American, but I didn't want to do red, white, and blue.
Right.
It's played out. Everybody does that. So I went with like, redneck, hillbilly, whatever.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And Cotton Eye Joe hit, and they spotlighted me, and they drew these curtains back, and like I acted like I was all surprised to be there. Like, who are all these people? Where are we all at? But there's music playing, so I started clapping to the music and then stamping my feet like I was at a hoedown. I had 1,500 Japanese people clapping and stamping to Cotton Eye Joe.
We need to find that. Can we find that? Like,
One of the greatest moments of my career. That is one of the greatest moments of my entire career.
that's one of the greatest, visuals that I've ever heard in my life.
Amazing. It was amazing.
Have you ever thought about getting into pro wrestling?
Oh my God, that's what I originally wanted to do before I got into MMA.
So I was an MMA fighter in my 20s and decided to go into pro wrestling in my 30s. So yeah, it goes. I knew when you said just that you was clapping, stomping, and the Japanese crowd was going. Listen, you've got pro wrestling, and you see it.
Well, my bestie Shayna Baszler, she did.
Yeah.
She got out of MMA when the getting was good. She got out and went over to WWE. She went into pro wrestling, and she is phenomenal. I couldn't be more proud. She's fucking killing it.
Pro wrestling is
so good. She's so good. She knows so much about so much stuff. It's ridiculous. She's probably even better at pro wrestling than she was at MMA.
pro wrestling. People don't realize the toll it takes on your body either. And the thing I found different was, you get that rush when you fight. You train for 3 months. That's about normal time for a fight. And then you go in and you get that rush. With pro wrestling, that rush I found was 2 nights a week. You got that feeling, man, that crowd. If you can get them eating out of your hands, and it's just, I did it on a small scale, and I was an independent wrestler around here, but when you walk out and you got them, and it's just so fun. And you had them, it sounds like. That's kind of like I knew it. Who would be your favorite professional wrestler of all time?
And you know what? And that's why I also said American Pie, because when I fought Roxanne Modafferi, I just had a feeling that I was getting toward the end, and this is one of my last deals, and it was really starting to wear on me. I milked that walkout for everything it was worth. I took forever to come down that ramp to the cage and everything, because American Pie is a really long song. But make sure that everybody got into it, and everybody knows the words to American Pie. So I'm coming down the ramp, and I'm singing, and I'm dancing, and the crowd, which there wasn't a huge crowd, but they were all singing with me. And I later found out when people were talking about it and everything, and best walkout and this and that, people were singing along at home during the broadcast. That did it for me. That did it for me. That's all I needed.
You've got so many good memories, man. So many. I mean, those are accomplishments. If people singing along with your walkout, that's a heck of an accomplishment.
Dude, it was so much fun. I had so much fun. It's just not even funny. Oh my God. Loved it.
And the last question, Tara, I'm going to ask you before I let you go. And like I said, I thank you so much for giving me just a little bit of your time. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you. And you've had a heck of a career. I mean, we've went over a lot of this stuff tonight. I mean, from everything from fighting on a humid beach to coming out to Cotton Eye Joe dancing with overalls and a straw hat on in the Tokyo Dome. I mean, that's just a couple. She's done some wild stuff, like she said. And I'm going to ask you, what are you most proud of?
Oh, God. What I'm most proud of.
Got to be a tough question.
I was the only female fighter on the ABC commission that wrote the unified rules.
Wow.
Sort of, I don't know if you would say nominated, not nominated, but like referred to by like some very serious, like Pat Miletich, Randy Couture, people that I really look up to. They suggested me to be on that, and so I was on the board of people that wrote the unified rules, that helped write and solidify the unified rules for MMA as we know it today.
Well, if that doesn't say pioneer and trailblazer, then what else does?
Respect from my peers. That's what I think I'm most proud of.
Well, I couldn't agree more.
I stay true to myself.
Well, when you've got Pat Miletich and Randy Couture amongst a couple that's saying, hey, listen, get Tara in here and let her help put this sport together. Let her help figure out what needs to be done to make this thing take off, which it eventually did. And it's as big. I mean, you've got women headlining UFCs right now. Yep. It's a good time for the sport, and all the ladies can thank you and the ones that got it done in the early days. And you are still grappling, you're still throwing, you're still putting on arm locks and kimuras, and my goodness, you have the fountain of youth, Tara LaRosa.
I'm still beating up the 20-somethings.
That's it, man. And I'm hoping I can say, I always root for a veteran. I'm more for the veterans than I ever was the young guns. Even when I was 19, 20 years old, man, I was like, man, Randy Couture is my hero. 41-year-old spanking Tito Ortiz.
Hendo,
another one of mine, man. I wore clinch gear when I fought, so.
So did I.
Really? It's awesome. Yeah, I have a red clinch gear shirt and blue and red shorts, and that's what I fought. 1 in 11 seconds, by the way, in that one with a right cross. So,
USA ones that were white with sort of the red, white, and blue trim.
God, those were nice. I bet
those were awesome. They were really cool.
So me and Tara LaRosa do have something in common. We both fought in clinch gear. That is pretty cool. Tara, thank you for being on a Wilde Time Podcast. I am so grateful and thankful to have you on, man. And you've just highlighted my week, and I'm going to get, you said Eve Edwards. Man's got to try to get a hold of him. And
Riley.
Yes. And if you can.
Riley. That's who I'm throwing it to next. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to get on here, and I'm going to start reaching out like I did you, harassing you and getting you on. I can't thank you enough. You were, like you said, you're most proud of the respect from your peers. That's why I'm thankful they recommended me to get a hold of you, because the respect is there. They thought they would love to hear a Tara LaRosa interview. Thank goodness. And the good Lord above you come through for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Everybody, subscribe and like, share this video, and give Tara LaRosa the the Cotton Eye Joe. Thank you, Tara, for being on, sis.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.